Welcome everybody to the Forever Bristol City podcast, and we're in joyous mood this morning because under the lights at Ashton Gate, it finished City 2, Borough 1, and we're there. We're in the top 6 until quarter-to-5, that is. So all eyes will be on the matches involving West Brom and Coventry today. But stunning performance. I said arguably the best performance of the season. Somebody said Stoke away was, but great atmosphere, absolutely brilliant atmosphere. And for once, and it does happen occasionally, City lived up to expectations and certainly delivered. I'm delighted this morning to be joined by Tom Hicks and Mark Tubby. Chaps, as I always do, your initial thoughts as you bounced out of Ashton Gate at about 9:35. You first, Tom. What were your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, we were just saying then, we looked like a proper side, and we had to dig in a bit towards the end. But the subs, I think, made a massive impact. Urfi, and I'm very pleased for Urfi to get 2 goals because I don't think he's had probably the best loan spell. I mean, we were unlucky to concede first half. Really, we were much a better side. So then to put them to bed second half was good, and the atmosphere there was excellent. To be fair, I'd probably say the best I've seen this season by a long stretch. So let's hope we can keep that up.
Yeah, Mark, what were your thoughts?
A great end to a 57th birthday. Thank you. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, happy birthday for yesterday.
Happy birthday, Mark.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, only the 3rd comeback win this season. The desire from the players was fantastic. Some things to take away. Looked far better with a back 4 when the substitutions were made, and I don't understand why we don't start with that. City's ability to find more energy when the substitutions were made, especially from the likes of Scott Twine, and just look more comfortable in that shape. The fact that we were all over Middlesbrough like a rash, they were very passive and pedestrian compared with us. We need to score earlier in the games. That's the only criticism, and kill teams off. But it was a thoroughly deserved victory. Sinclair Armstrong worked his backside off, deserved a goal, and really the substitutions swung the game. And George Urfi, in the right place at the right time. What a lift that'll give him. From a player who's been out of sorts, he suddenly scores 2 goals. You would have got huge odds on that if you bet on George Urfi scoring the winning goals.
Yeah.
But we're in 6th place, and I think now we probably have to take 71 if we want to say 71 points, 6 wins, 3 draws from the last 12. 3 of those away games are at Sheffield United, Burnley, and Leeds. But let's go for it. We can compete with anybody from 5th to 6th. We're in the mix now, so let's go for it. It's going to be an exciting ride. Let's see what happens.
Well, let's hope so. And obviously, the lads have got a week off because they don't play their next game.
Well, 10 days.
Yeah, they don't play the next game until Tuesday, March the 4th. But then it's 4 games in 10 days because it goes Millwall, Hull, Sheffield United away, Norwich. That's all between the 4th and the 14th of March. But Tom, the lineup, it sort of picks itself. Great to see Cam Pring back in the squads. If you look at the subs more than anything, I mean, we'll talk about the Steve Lansdown interview as well, and he said the pathway is there. But Morrison didn't get on the bench, and you could argue that the young centre half, I always get the 2 mixed up, Knight LaBelle or Campbell Slowey. One of those was there were no youngsters on the bench, but a strong bench, but defensively that bench was weak. No real defenders save for Pring. But what did you think of that match day 20?
No, I agree. I mean, I think it was good to have Williams back in as well because he's always someone you want in and amongst it. But yeah, regarding the youngsters and that, I mean, I don't really think. I know Lansdown interview, he said he obviously a big fan of the academy and that. But at the end of the season, will he really be happy with just Morrison playing like 2 games if that's what it is? I mean, you'd want a bit more than that for how good the academy's been the last couple of years. But I mean, I thought Hirakawa stepped up recently as well. I mean, Cardiff away, I thought he was man of the match yesterday. So there's good options on the bench, but it's just them delivering consistently. That's the problem. You bring them on and then they sort of don't quite have the impact. But last night, all of them had the impact. So it was a good sort of match day squad, you could say, really.
Yeah. Mark, BORO came here, they sold, was it Latte Laugh for a few million, but they had, on paper, they look a good side. They've splashed the cash on Morgan Whittaker. Obviously, it was the return of Tommy Conway as well. They've got Iheanacho, former Leicester player, on loan from Sevilla. On the bench, a player we coveted maybe 18 months ago, Finn Azaz. And he's was a sort of legend down here. Luke Ayling, he's not making their starting lineup. But you could say there's some parallels between Bristol City and Middlesbrough because they both got quite strong-willed chairman, Steve Gibson. Yet he's presiding over a side that really have tumbled down the division. That was 5 defeats in a row. I think they've only won 3 out of the last 15. Did you expect more from them? Or were they like we were talking before we went on air? Outside the top 4, it's very much of a muchness. Some of the sides that aren't all that really, and we're there on merit now, even though it's a meager points total for this stage of the season.
On paper, Middlesbrough shouldn't be in the position they're in. They should be doing far better. I mean, they trade well. Latte Laugh gone to the MLS, which was a huge surprise. They don't normally spend tens of millions of pounds, but they're spending large loan fees. I mean, Mark Travers is on loan from Bournemouth, formerly number 1 there, as well as Iheanacho, and they brought in Borges. I was very impressed with it. The left back, and Bergzorg from Huddersfield last season from Mainz, who was on loan. It was on loan at the John Smith Stadium, and Iheanacho. They were just so passive. I mean, it's like they're just turning up to for the money.
Well, we said that about Stoke last week, didn't we, Mark?
Yeah, it must infuriate fans. But I mean, Middlesbrough have always been seen as one of those teams who were the likely lads, probably from the northeast. But we're likely to be around the playoffs, if not in the playoffs, not on automatic promotion side, but should be doing. So they should be doing better for the money they spent on players who are technically some of the best in the division. Thought Morgan Whittaker was poor, and since he's been there, he ain't very good. Iheanacho, apart from the goal, he was on cruise control. Tommy Conway linked up well, but he's got his limitations, and they didn't really hurt us at all. They've nosedived 3 wins in the last 13 since December. Very poor from them, and Carrick must be under pressure now for not cementing a place in the top 6, which is up for grabs. In what is a very open, 5th and 6th. Usually it's just 6, but there's that huge gap to 4th, and then there was a 7-point gap to top, wasn't there, before Burnley won last night. Any team from about 11 teams could secure 5th and 6th place. And BORO, I mean, their fans must be, apoplectic about what they're doing at the moment with the players that they got. That's a poor return. Ours, a bargain basement. And we're getting returns. But to what you said about the academy players, it's easy for Steve Lansdown saying there's a pathway. But when Tom Sutton said a couple of pods ago, 22 minutes from Elijah Morrison this season, that's awful. People are going to say, well, where's the evidence? That's all that we got. 22 minutes from a left back is a sub. Prove it. But it's not there at the moment.
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that. I mean, it is a competitive division, and one would argue it's competitive from a mediocrity perspective.
Yeah.
But if somebody put a piece, you might have seen it, Tom, put a piece on OTIB. It was a stat that if you go back to the 3 seasons, Lee Johnson's last 3 seasons, after 33 games, that's 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, I think 6th was 53, 54, or we were 53, 54, 53 points in those 3 seasons. And here we are doing as well, if not slightly better, with a points total now. That was after 33 games, but with a points total about 6 or 7 less. But here we go. Let's get into the action. It was a good first half, Tom. I'll talk through the first 4 bits with you. A few bits. Twine. I was moaning in the second half, well, what does he do other than free kicks, But he had our first chance, didn't he, where the ball was touched to him, and that was a good effort from him early on, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought their keeper actually. I didn't think he was good with his feet, but he made some good saves. I can't remember who. I think Bird had a shot as well, but we might get onto that. But Fine, he was frustrating because it felt like he just wanted to fall over all game. I know he does normally, but last night it was. I mean, the ref just bought his free kicks really, especially in the second half. But we were definitely on top, and they looked like they had a mistake in them all day. Really, they looked playing out from the back. They were pretty woeful, and Sinclair was putting them under pressure. So Twine, it was. I mean, he had a free kick there at the bar. It was. You could say that's a good performance then, really, from that. But overall, it wasn't. Him and Mehmeti, I didn't think were overly inspiring last night, to be honest.
Yeah. And Borough, Mark, they had a couple of early chances, both easy saves from Max. Borges coming in and Max saving there, and then Berzog. They were routine. I mean, I call those saves doing your job as a goalkeeper. They were really routine, weren't they?
Yeah, they were able to win the ball in midfield, and then they pushed numbers forward down the left. Yeah, Borges' shot was just spun up in the air, I think, off Max Bird, and it was fielded easily by Max O'Leary. And the one from Bergson was really what you call a grass cutter, comfortable save to his right. And I think there was another miss hit as well. I think by
we'll come on to that one in a moment.
Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, no, Tom, you said about Mehmeti wasn't at his best, but City were bursting forward. I would say he should have done better, but he had three players on him. He still managed to get a shot away before he dragged it just wide or tucked it just wide. Sounds better, doesn't it? Yeah, that was a good effort.
That was a nice attempt. To be fair, but he had a couple as well where you think he could knock it across the box, but instead he's done the typical Mehmeti where he sort of brings it back and wants to take on the player again. You just think, why don't he shoot a bit more? Like when he has a chance, he's always trying to play sort of beat as many players as possible, which is typical Mehmeti. But I mean, he stepped up massively as well this season. I think he's been, even last night, he was frustrating, but still always a problem for their defence, really. That you can see they don't like playing up against someone who's quite tricky and you don't quite know what you're going to get. Yeah. But yeah, it was we were on top first half. It was pleasing to see as well that we could sort of dominate the game, to be honest.
Yeah, and Roberts, I mean, you said defensively, I think you've both said, if not today on other podcasts, bit woeful defensively, but when he gets forward, he's not too bad, and he set up that chance. I'll stick with you on this one, Tom. Set up that chance for Armstrong, who is starting to look maybe not another Baz Savage with recent performances, because that was a cracking shot that he hit just over the top, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was going in, to be honest. But as you said, Roberts, he defensively is a bit not 100%, but attacking. He's actually a good footballer, to be fair. You watch a couple of his movements and he is tidy, but it's just he doesn't quite have the bursting pace and he isn't dominant defensively. So you're going to get a couple of mistakes here and there. But I mean, Sinclair, that effort, that reminded me a bit of Semenyo in a way. Like just the raw sort of shot that you think not many players would take that on, and he's done it, to be fair. But it would have been lovely for it to have gone in, but.
Boosting his confidence, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. But even the shot like that.
Mike Members said on the text here, he said that Armstrong effort was similar to Taylor Gardner-Hickman, who scored that cracking goal
against Middlesbrough.
Same fixture last season. Mark, over to you. We said about Whittaker was a little bit. I mean, if they paid £9 million for him, then I think somebody took their pants down on that one. But you were describing a chance they had, and I'll stick with you, Mark, for a goal, but the chance that they had that was missed, it was a really good chance for them to take the lead. Borges 1-2 with Iheanacho, and then the ball goes in, and Berzog hits it wide, doesn't he? That was the one that you were referring to.
Sorry. Yeah,
he should have tucked that one away, really, because we were looking a little bit weak down that side, weren't we?
Yeah, and they did get the ball forward quickly. I mean, it was quite open and end to end. And they did have chances more on reflection than I remembered in the first half. I remembered the grass cutter and the goal, but not so much 2 or 3 other decent chances they had to score. And like us, the final ball and the execution was poor. Teams around you, you think you're the only team that gets touches in the box and don't get shots away. And you see other teams who are equally as sloppy, even though you think they got better players.
But that's what I mean. There's just this general feel where you get excited. I mean, when you look at the game,
your bad play, you forget other teams are playing.
When you look at the games that we got to come at home between now and the end of the season, and you're looking. I mean, Sunderland. Well, I expect them to be better than the average, but then West Brom, Watford, and Norwich. Are they going to be like? Well, they're up with us, but are they going to be a bit meh? And again, on the day, they can turn it on. I'll stick with you first for the goal, Mark, and then you can have your say as well. The ball broke kindly for them just on the halfway line before it went to Iheanacho, didn't it, Mark?
Yeah, I think it's played round one of our defenders. I can't remember who, because I think Whittaker plays the ball on the floor and just pokes his leg through and releases the ball to Iheanacho. So he's going forward and he cuts in from the right on his left foot. And Hayden Roberts is with him, but he shows him onside on his good foot.
Yeah.
So he shoots first time down to Max's right. Tommy Conway is holding his line with George Tanner, but Max, I mean, he can't feel. He either fields the ball down to the right, clutches it, or he pushes the ball out wide where there's nobody. He pushes the ball away to the side, trying for a throw in, or he pushes the ball behind for a corner. Instead, he had Teflon gloves and it goes up in the air, and Conway. Conway's held the line and he heads it back into an empty net. Now, what happened next? Two stupid things. Conway's been getting the bird from our fans all the game, but to run up the section 82, he hands on his ears was stupid, but equally as stupid. The club will get censured if a player or officials get struck by any missiles thrown from the crowd. Empty plastic bottles. It doesn't matter. We can't do it, folks.
Did something did come onto the pitch then, Mark? Did it?
Yeah. I could see. Well, it looked like there were bottles coming down. We can't do it. There's no excuse. However stupid Tommy Conway was, the fans will give. I mean, I was quite surprised by the amount of vitriol there was for Tommy Conway, but. Don't do that. That's just stupid. Yeah. Going up to the fans, don't. No,
it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary, and one could say as childish as the fans that were giving him stick all around the ground. I mean, there was sort of and Tommy's become this figure of hate in some people's eyes. I don't think he helped himself by an interview on Radio Tees this week or the local radio up there where he threw a question mark over, and he should have just kept his mouth shut. And just done nothing, because if anything, his reaction there incited the crowd and created some of the atmosphere. Tom, Max, floppy hands again. Should he have held on to that? And it was an easy chance for Tommy. He's not going to miss that, is he?
He probably could have, but maybe we could have reacted quicker as he's palmed it away. You could come from both angles really, but I think O'Leary, other than that, did quite well, and I think it's tough being a goalie, especially at this level, because you make a mistake and that's your game done. Really, everyone remembers the mistake. Yeah. So it's not, you can never really find positives. You could say he's made a couple good saves, but overall they do get quite a bit of stick. But I thought maybe we could have caught it, and maybe defensively we could have done better before that. Yeah. I think as Mark said, Roberts is just really
he was nowhere, was he?
Yeah, he just let him go past him, like sort of play it past him. So. Yeah, that could be.
What did you think of Tommy? Overall, and that what he did, with the crowd and the crowd's reaction to him as well.
Yeah, to be honest, I can see why they're giving him stick, but I just say let him get on with it. If he wants to move to Middlesbrough, double his wages or whatever, just he ain't gone to a better club, is he? Really? He thought he did, but I thought he'd be going to the Scottish Prem or the Premier League, but. To go to Middlesbrough now, sit 4 or 5 places below us. It's not exactly a brilliant move, but just let him get on.
I mean, look, we'll never know the true story of what happened with Tommy. No. There's clearly not a great relationship between his agent and our director of football, Brian Tinian. And then the rumours were that he was offered a contract that he was going to agree to, and then City reneged on that original offer. Goodness knows why, and if that's true, we don't know. That's pure speculation, and the only people that know that are people at the heart of the club in terms of what went on. Mark, first half, I said on the X, my tweet was we controlled the action in the first half, and we had another chance. I could say it's 2 chances to take the lead because there was some good link-up play. Sight cross for Bird, bought a save from Travers. Maybe Twiney should have tucked that to Parridge shot away. How did you see that?
Yeah, I wonder if Bird should have got his foot through the ball, and I think we're not aggressive enough. We don't show enough conviction in our shooting in the penalty area. I think we had about 30 odd touches last night, and in games like Plymouth and Cardiff away last week when we didn't kill the game off and it came back to haunt us. We just got to show that desire to get to the ball that we showed late on and get your foot through it. Twine, I think, was poking his leg round a defender or an attacker who'd gone back. But again, it was just like a nonchalant poke towards the goal. I mean, you saw Luke McNally the other week, brought a save out the Swansea keeper. He actually got his foot round the ball from behind. With Twine, it was more like a hit and hope than because he could have gone through the player. And you've got to be prepared to take a kick sometimes. You've got to be prepared to go through the ball. The ball's there to be won. Hit through the ball better. The keeper was nowhere. It should have been 1-1.
Yeah, that was a good strike by Bird, wasn't it, Tom? I mean, first time showed that desire. That's a word that I've heard coming out a lot from last night. And I know when the winner went in, it seemed to be when he did the close up of the players celebrating and earthy. Out of nowhere, there seems to have come a little bit of togetherness and commitment and desire. And it's almost, do you think they're starting to believe just a little bit? Obviously, when we talk about a second half, clearly that lifted everybody. But Bird, I thought he was more energetic last night than I've seen him because he's usually quite laconic in his style.
Yeah, I think, Bird's a good footballer, don't get me wrong, but I think recently he probably hasn't been as lively as you want him to. But it's good that we're actually shooting like around the box and outside the box, because normally we just try walk it in the net. To be honest, it's actually nice to see some shots coming, because Sinclair did it, Bird, Twine. There's people actually willing to sort of, if you miss, you miss, but at least you've had a go. Whereas before we just sort of, it was frustrating. But last night we were sort of digging in a little bit and actually, and as you said, maybe a bit of togetherness has formed just by they look at the league table and think, well, we're sick. There's no reason not to believe, really. Yeah. So just you've got to keep at it, keep picking up points. And as Mark said, we still got the top 3 teams to play away. So let's see when we play them away. Let's see how we get on then.
Well, anything above a point or more away, a point or more from those 3 games is a bonus, basically, because I think we only got 1 point from the 3 games played at Ashton Gate. So 0-0 at half time. We're all stood there saying, here we go again. Yeah, but good football to watch. Yeah, up to the second half, and Conway, he only had one other chance in the game, was when he cut in from the left, put in by Burzog. But his effort was blocked. And if it wasn't then, it was shortly afterwards, Mark, that Armstrong picked up a long ball just inside the Borough half, and a tremendous run. And I heard people sitting next to me saying, oh, well, he's not going to finish that. But he drew a fine save from Travers, didn't he?
Yeah, I think the problem is, and we played that well at the back because we were defending our own goal. We played the ball out of our penalty area. And it was, I don't know, played the ball, but it was a good ball down the left channel to Armstrong, and he's on his bike. The problem is nobody else is following him. I think Mehmeti may have been to his right, and that's the problem. It was him against 4 defenders, so he's very limited to where he can go. He has to cut in from the left onto his right foot, and that was the best that he can do, getting Travers back. But really, you need 2 or 3 players attack. It needed more numbers going forward.
He was up there on his own.
He anticipated it. Where's the rest of the forwards? They've got to be quicker.
Well, you say where's the rest of the forwards? It's really just him.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they got to back.
And did he hit that with his left or his right foot?
Left.
I think it might have been. Yeah, it might have been his left foot.
Because that was in his stride, sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's very difficult. He's got no option other than to hit it. No. He can't go left or right. There's nobody if he hits it across to the keeper's left far for a follow up, because there's no other City players around him. I think, I said, just Mehmeti, he's behind the play.
Mark, who put that ball out to him? Mike Members asked the question on the text feed. He said, who passed to Armstrong? Because that was a really good ball to put him in the clear.
Not sure. Yeah, you'd have to look at the highlights on YouTube or Sky Sports. But yeah, He anticipated it, and the fact is we played that out from the back, defending our own goal. It was a great piece of transition. But the best teams, like teams like Brentford, they have 4 players going forward, and that's what Liverpool do. They always commit. They look they're most dangerous when they're defending their own box from corners, because they know that with the pace they've got, that if they win the ball, that 4 or 5 players are being attacked, not just overwhelm the other team.
Yeah. Tom, we're all looking at our clocks, 58 minutes. You're looking for movement down on the bench. Who's going off? Who's coming on? 63 minutes. Triple substitution. Key part of the game. Various things to consider here. But if we look at the subs, Robert Sykes and Mehmeti going off, Pring, you and Earthy coming on. What were your thoughts when you saw that?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really think. I hate to say it, but I didn't think we should bring on Earthy, really. But look look where that got me. So
we took up our leading scorer to bring in a guy that, let's be fair, hasn't set the world alight in his appearances so far.
Yeah, but the subs. I mean, Pring is a great player to have back in, because he just adds you that bit of energy on the left that you sort of somewhat lack in Roberts. But we know Pring's always an outlet, and the switch is always on for him to get in the box, really, or play it across the box. So that was good. And Hirakawa was also lively and was good defensively. I thought he did well when he sort of got back and helped out Tanner, which was good. So fairly good subs, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think, Mark, with the 3? Because it altered the structure of the side as well. You were pretty certain we switched to a flat back 4 then, weren't we?
I think we looked quite sluggish at the start of the second half, and apart from that Armstrong chance, really hadn't created any chances. So it really transformed the team. I mean, we did something similar last week at half time. So you got Hirakawa in his favourite position, wide in a 3, Earthy on the left, and Twine on the right. And with Hirakawa, he's got the intelligence to trap back and just stay with players and be a nuisance. But those players can rotate, so he can go inside, outside, and he's prepared to take players on. I just don't know why we don't start with a 4. We look far better. But I'll agree with Tom. I mean, Earthy's, apart from the Stoke away game, I don't think he's had a great game. Maybe when he came on, I mean, and last night was similar to the Millwall game in that it got really stretched when we made the substitutions. Yeah. He needs to be able to play in pockets and space and play 1-2s.
Isn't that like what Twine is meant to be, which gives credence to the fact that we got Earthy.
That helped Twine as well. Twine had shots blocked. Twine seemed to show more desire. I just don't understand why you play a 3-4-2-1. It worked for a little while, but we recruited for a back 4, didn't we, in the summer?
No, that's very true.
So why not? I'd stick with it. Stick with the 4-2-3-1.
Very true. Tom, I think, who is it? Western Reds commented and other people commented on the forums that Sykes, and 5 minutes later when Armstrong came on for Wells, both Sykes and Armstrong and Mehmeti to some extent showed a little bit of, I'm not happy at coming off, which the general view is that's good that players feel that way. And Sykes, as Western Red pointed out, he threw his shirt to the ground in front of Manning. I think he took it off as he was coming off the pitch, and he didn't embrace Manning maybe like he normally does. But you want to see that. It just showed there's a bit of competition there, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, normally some players normally are happy to come off because they don't look interested. But it's good to see last night that the players are frustrated when they get taken off because they still think they could have had a part to play. But Sykes, I probably wouldn't have taken Sykes off, to be honest, because I thought he was always an outlet, but I can see why he did it. But it's good to see that we've actually got players coming off the bench who can make an impact, because before it just felt like we had a starting 11 and then the bench would just come on and dismantle things, really, and the shape would be a bit off. But yeah, last night it was a all-round team performance, you could say. The defence digged in, night was everywhere. So overall, you can't really complain about.
You can't complain about any of it. No. You say about Knight. I mean, we've called him the Duracell Bunny on here more than once. And I mean, some of his little 360-degree turns and digging it out. And I'm sure he played with he always plays with commitment, but I'm sure he put that little bit extra in last night, knowing that he didn't have to play a game on Tuesday Tuesday evening or something like that. Yeah, but that was good. So I think one of you spoke earlier about that chance, or not chance, he made it. Dickey putting Tanner clear on the right. I thought George played well, particularly when he went to right back, so he's a more solid four there. But he put in a cross. That header, Mark, from you, that was cracking, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a shame it didn't go in. I mean, a small player like that, you just don't expect it, and we don't get players making near post runs. So it's a good cross, good low cross from Tanner that somebody can take either with a shot at the near post, and he makes that late run behind the defender and heads it just wide powerfully. Why don't we see more of that? Good, intelligent play all round.
Yeah. Anyway, the equaliser, Tom, 72 minutes. You're looking at the clock, counting it down, thinking, "Oh goodness me, we're going to get a draw," which would have been no good for either side, really, in terms of their playoff aspirations. But it's Knight, the provider to you. Take us through the goal as you saw it. I don't think Twine got a touch myself. Somebody else said on O2 it was an air kick. But take us through the goal as you saw it.
So who played the ball over to Pring?
That was you.
That was you, was it? Yeah. So that was good, and it's nice to actually commit players forward in the box, to be honest, because normally it feels like we're just clutching at straws. And Earthy's in the right place. Obviously, Pring's played the ball sort of back in. You thought he could have maybe taken a touch and gone for goal, but he's played the pass across goal, and Earthy's there to tuck it in. So it's nice that the players that you wouldn't normally expect to be there are up there, willing to sort of put their body on the line and get stuck in. So, and I always thought we'd get a goal. To be honest, I could see it coming. But and you say about a point, I'd have probably taken a point. All things
it wouldn't have been enough, Tom. It wouldn't have been enough. We talk about the remaining 12 fixtures. I don't know why I was still thinking after last night. We had 13. It was 12 games to go. Mark, the goal, that goal, it was great for George Earthy, but it's that front, fast foot flowing attacking football that we've been craving, wasn't it? And I said to Peter Wood, if you're watching, Pete, we had an exchange of text. If it was like that most of the time, you don't expect like that every game, but few would have complaints. And the roof came off when the equaliser went in, didn't it? It was a good goal.
Yeah, Hirakawa gets behind the defender and his cross goes over the top of the on-rushing players, but it stretches their defence, and Campring does well because he doesn't hit the ball, he helps it back across. I think it goes through Twine, and Earthy comes in, I think, on his left foot down into the ground, so that he just steers it into the back of the net, and it's because we got bodies into the box. It was intelligent play, a bit more composure, especially we showed in the first half where we were sort of blazing the ball across the box. But yeah, the fact that we had bodies in the 6-yard box, and it's great for Earthy. His first goal for the club in what's been quite a patchy loan spell.
Yeah.
And I don't imagine loan fees are cheap. We're probably paying, probably subsidising some of his wages if we're not paying all of it. And it'll help the club and help the players for the rest of the season, I think.
Tom, you said, and we all know, Twine is looking for a free kick every time. Tom Neild was the referee last night. Before we talk about what was the winning goal and the free kick just before it, what do you think of Neild last night as a ref?
Probably not the best, but not the worst, to be honest. He was all right, but a few of the decisions. I mean, Wells was getting pulled back when the ball was coming over. Wells was getting pulled down, and he didn't give it. But then he gave then he gave the free kick for Twine for the goal, where he just backed up into the player and sort of more or less fell over, which I didn't think was a foul in any way. But
he got one just before it, Tom, didn't he?
Yeah,
he got another one which he hit just over the top. But
the ref, I mean, the linesman as well, I didn't think was as sharp as could be. And then also the ref played quite a lot of time over, which was, I mean, he had to because Twine went down, but it was frustrating that you look at the clock and it's +4 and then we're still playing in 95. But other than that, he was okay, yeah.
He was okay. And you said about the goal, I'll stick with you for what was the winner. I mean, he got the free kick and perfect, better position than the last one, just in the D. He's done everything right. I mean, it would have brought the house down if that had gone in, but he hit the bar and he still brought the house down because Earthy tapped it in and ran to the crowd. And mocked Conway with the fingers in the ears gesture. But I expect you were cheering very loud at that point. I'm sure you could have heard it all across South Bristol.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Twine, that is what Twine's there for, really, isn't it? Just free kicks, and it's a great free kick that's hit the bar, and Earthy's followed it up well, to be fair. So you can, and it's just great to. I mean, typical Bristol City wouldn't have been to win that game. In all honesty, we'd have probably ended up drawing, or they'd have gone up the other end late on to score. So for us to sort of win the game and it to fall, the ball, it was sort of falling our way last night. Normally it doesn't fall our way. Not even being a fan, like a sort of depressed fan, but it never seems to fall our way. So last night, it was going our way.
It just made a change, didn't it? Because we often say on the podcast, we never fail to disappoint.
No, exactly.
But when we're all expecting disappointment, they lifted us, you know. And I think, and we were saying, I think you and I said, Mark, or certainly a couple of other people I spoke to, unprompted, you know, we're on the edge of the playoffs. Excuse me. Everything was a bit flat going into the game last night, whereas I think by the time the final whistle came, you know, the fans and the players are starting to think, well, maybe we can just do it. I mean, Mark, you sit pretty in line with that free kick. You probably got a better view. I don't know where you sit, Tom. Are you south stand? Or...
I'm in the dolman, like halfway the dolman, sort of halfway up.
All right, you're in the dolman, but you had a good view of that goal, Mark, didn't you?
Yeah, I was side onto it in W16. Row 6, and it hits the front of the bar, and basically Earthy almost falls onto it because he hits it first time facing the goal, and they're you know appealing for offside, and he's onside because he holds his line just behind the just in front of the front of the defensive wall. But it's brilliant execution. Don't give Scott Twine a free kick front on, you know, in the D, because he's going to get it on target. The other one was at a slight angle, and he spun it up in the air, didn't he, and over. And I think he was probably a bit gutted about that. But what we did up to that goal, David, they couldn't get out of their half.
No.
City were in the zone. They were on top, and we scored when we were well on top.
Yeah.
The crowd was surging. It was fantastic, and we don't do that enough. That's what we need to do. Be more clinical. Win that free kick through sheer guts. Brilliant execution from Scott Twine. I'd say he's more than free kicks. It's obviously a wonderful smile, and must be sponsored by Colgate. He must blind people every time he smiles. It's just like a white light, isn't it, coming out of his mouth. I think he needs to show more desire and hunger around the box, and I think he did that a bit more last night. He still needs to be more convinced, and City still need to be more convincing. Remember, although we're in 6th place, we've only won 2 consecutive games once this season, in back-to-back home wins over Christmas. That shows you where the championship is in terms of, in terms of the openness of those playoff places. That City occupies 6th place. They haven't had a run of wins. No. That's where we need to go next. That's the next step.
Or a run of results, because it's been very much WDL, LDW or something like that. You know, not had a run of defeats either. And obviously we've got the chance to put that right at the new Den a week on Tuesday. Final piece of the action, Tom, was Wells cutting in from the right, brought a good save from Travis. And we managed the game out well, didn't we? We kept the ball down in the corner, and we've done that. We seem to be doing better at doing that than we used to.
Yeah, I mean, Wells was a good outlet when he came on. I mean, the last couple of games before that, I didn't think he had his best performances. But last night he did what Wells does, and just get your body in front, hold the ball up, link play, and then a good shot as well. So you can't. I mean, Sinclair was obviously not happy coming off, but Wells has done the job to finish a game really. So yeah, it was a pleasing end to the game.
I've got a comment about you are woo-ah's comment. Do you need to sign for that, David? If you saw me making sign gestures, it was I could see a DPD delivery bloke outside. Didn't know whether the dog was out in the garden, couldn't open the door, and now he's buggered off. So I can tell you that was delivering. That was having delivered a new mop bucket and a music stand, so I can put my music out for my clarinet that I'm learning to play. So there we go. The challenge between now and the end of the season is me to be able to play the first few bars from Stranger on the Shore by good old local Bristolian Aquabilk. And I have to say, I went to Senior Reds on Thursday, and Joe Sims was a speaker, and he was very good. I mean, Joe's very much a larger-than-life character, but his story about the breaks that he got in advertising was interesting. And I also had the pleasure of sitting next to Jeff Merrick throughout the lunch, and he was talking about how the art of defending has gone out the door. But he was looking forward to attending last night's game. So we come off 2-1. I mean, I stayed to the end, but then as soon as the people to the right of me stood up, I'm out in front of them and down W13-14 dugout into the car and heading back and listening to Radio Bristol. Everybody's positive. I mean, Gary Hours, what a good match analyzer he is. And then looking at the league table, we're in sixth, 12 wins, 13 draws, 9 defeats. I mean, that's not bad, 9 defeats, Tom, is it, after 34 games? Not
at all. I mean, you'd like to put more of those draws into wins, but to only lose 9 from that many games is quite impressive. And what's our goal difference? +5?
+5, 43 plays 38.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd have said that at the start of the season, you'd have taken that all day. So it's just, can we keep this sort of these performances up for the rest of the season? Which I don't know if I hope we can, but we've got some tough away games, and we haven't been that convincing away from home. So but overall pretty pleased with the performances, and obviously the league table doesn't lie, and we're in the playoffs.
We're there.
Yeah,
we're there, and let's see where we are at quarter-5. Yeah. Because I mean, it's not going to be that bad. You'd expect
8th.
West Brom and Coventry to win both their games. I think Coventry playing Preston today, Mark, is that right? And West Brom.
I'm not sure. I mean, all I can say is at the end of the game, David, I was absolutely exhausted. It was like I run a long race.
Yeah,
it just takes you the emotions of football. I mean, you just go from huge highs to some lows, and then bend back up again. It's like a real roller coaster. Sorry to say.
No. I mean, I think
it's just exhausting. I felt drained at the end. I thought I felt like a player sunk to his knees. The 5 minutes of injury time, because I think there was a break in play when Twine went down. They gathered by the touchline, drinking from the water bottles, and the shithousery was great because we played it in the corner. I remember we didn't do that against Plymouth. Then we did it against Derby, didn't we? Kept it in the corner, and from then on, I mean, we closed the game out brilliantly. They didn't have anything, and 1,400 fans came down. Good for them, but they were just so vanilla, weren't they? Middlesbrough, awful.
No, they were. They were another result that went in our favour last night, and no surprise. Well, it was a surprise that they got it 1-0, but Burnley humbled Sheffield Wednesday 4-0 at Turf Moor, and maybe
their fans to see 4 goals, they must have fainted from shock because they started the season scoring 30. They scored 9 goals in the first 2 games. Then it took them another 13 games to get the next 9 goals, and basically, I think most teams, somebody said to me last night, if Burnley scored, he might as well go home because they've let 9 goals in. I don't think they conceded a goal since late December. I mean, it's just absolutely
no, it's ridiculous. And when you look at the top of the league, as I'm doing at the moment, I mean, they're 4 points behind Sheffield United.
And played a game more.
And they've played a game more. They've got a goal difference that's worth an extra point. So you could argue they're 3 points behind. But, Sunderland...
how many goals have Burnley scored, David?
I don't know. I'm not going to look that up. Let's move on to. Did either of you hear in full or part?
I didn't hear a Lansdowne interview. I'm afraid.
Lansdowne interview. Did you hear any of it, Tom?
I listened to it when I got home last night. I just put it on for half hour.
What did you think?
I didn't think he said anything that I didn't expect, but I thought he didn't seem. I mean, he didn't say it, but he didn't seem too pleased with the Honmiulu debacle, like him being loaned out. He said about it that it hadn't worked out, but you could sort of sense that he wasn't best pleased with how that went. And then he mentioned the academy and the pathway and whatnot, but we haven't seen any of the pathway this season, really. So I didn't think there was much there was obviously bits that you could dissect, but it was pretty as expected, I'd say. Overall.
I mean, for those that didn't hear it, and obviously if you haven't heard it, you probably will sometime either after you've listened to this podcast. But, he said, well, we wanted to be in amongst the playoffs this season. That was progress. And we are, even more so after last night's game. Now, the fact of the matter is, had we lost last night, but we didn't. And by close of play today, if we'd have lost last night, it was feasible that we could have been down to 12th or 13th. So that, we've lived up to we want to be in or around the playoffs, and with a third of 12 games to go, he's ticked that box. He's happy with recruitment. I don't think anybody would say they were happy with recruitment. But then if you look at Mayulu apart, right, nobody's really complaining about Max Bird. Sinclair Armstrong is looking like he's coming on good. McGuane is a good player to have there in the background. And after last night, a lone player, George Earthy, he's done okay. And Scott Twine, the hallmark signing. Well, I know he didn't score last night, but, so what's not to like there? I think the only thing which you picked up on, Tom, was this thing about the academy. He also said he thought Hayden Roberts was playing well, which, I don't know what games he's been watching, but he said about the academy, I think that was the only one where he was fudging it a bit. The other things that he talked about was obviously investment from outside. Two things. Nobody's going to put money into this club to have a minority stake in it while the Lansdowns are in control. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. And his valuation of the club, he could not expect to get back his money. Yeah. So while he still sits there expecting to get back allegedly 200 million, which is, if you like, 100 million for the club and a third of what he's invested in it, yeah, nobody's going to be any buyers. And I've got my own view on what I think is the only way out of this. But, who knows? We could go up through the playoffs this season and happy days. You could take a big chunk of money out and we pop straight back down after one season at the top. And being 69 years old in 3 weeks' time, yeah, I'd just like to have one more season at the top flight, even if we got dubbed 5-0 every week. Although Leicester City, they were a lot better than us. They seem to be making a habit of that at the moment. But there we go. 4 games in 4 days. 4 games in 4 days. 4 games in 10 days, chaps, coming up. Millwall, Hull home, Sheffield United away, Norwich at home. We've got to be looking at that and thinking those 4 games got to produce 7 points, haven't they? Would you agree with that, Mark?
Yeah, minimum. I mean, we really need to get 2 points a game would be ideal, wouldn't it, from the last 12 games, and that would probably get you in the playoffs, 73 points. But yeah, a minimum of 7. Got to win both those 2 home games, and really started off with a win against Millwall. They got a tough game, South London derby against Palace. 12:15 next Saturday. I imagine they'll play a strong team. 5th round of the.
But is that extra time and penalties in the 5th round, or does it go to replays now? Doesn't it?
I don't know if they do. I'm not sure actually. That's a good question. But it's South London derby. They're likely to play their strongest side because they got a chance of getting in the quarterfinals, haven't they? It's good prize money, and then they'll only get a 3-day turnaround. Whilst we got 11 days, haven't we? So it's good for us. We'll go there go there hungry, but we really need to win that game to stay in the top 6, because we'll be out of it probably at 5:15. And I think Western Red said West Brom versus Oxford and Coventry versus Preston.
That's right.
You'd be expecting 2 home wins there, wouldn't you?
You should, but you never know in this division, do you? Tom, 7 points, I've said. Mark said that's a minimum. I guess he's right in that respect, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, what I think Mark's spot on about the Millwall. Manning can't come out after Millwall and say, well, we've had a week longer rest than them, so that one won't come out in the post-match interview. But I don't see why we couldn't get 9 points from that, to be honest. 3 wins against Millwall, Hull and Norwich, and then maybe lose against Sheffield United. I don't think that'd be bad, and I could see that happening, to be honest. So I think 7 or 9 would be ideal. 7.
Millwall away. If you start that sequence, Millwall away, and you get a win at the New Den, it takes the must-win pressure off the 2 home games, because arguably you could say Sheffield United away is a free hit because they're that good. They're in one of the auto.
Well, we haven't won for 9 away games, have we? And
that away form has got to improve. And I mean, if you look at what we've got, the 6 away games, Millwall, QPR, and Luton are the 3 easier fixtures, if there is such a thing in this division. Okay, right. Well, last week we had a little quiz at the end, and we're going to do it again this week. Mark and I picked up when we went to TalkSport in the TalkSport Cup. We were awarded our equivalent of the blankety blank checkbook and pen. There you go. I'm sure you can buy that online. TalkSport football trivia game. We beat Arsenal. I don't know when that's going to be transmitted on TalkSport TV, but we'll let you know when that is, or we'll record the screen or do something. And this is a football trivia quiz. 6 questions. 6 questions. You don't have to be a brain of Britain to get these, or even a football aficionado in terms of real facts. Some of them are factual. Some of them are, well, a bit weird, really. Tom,
what do I call, offside or goal?
You call offside. If you know the answer,
goal.
Mark, you call offside. And if you know the answer, Tom,
Goal.
you shout goal. Right? Now, Dave Becker last week was complaining because he is in Spain when he does it. So maybe there's a little bit of a delay. Right? So here we go. And if you get the answer wrong, you lose a point. So I'm going to write this down. Tom and Mark, here we go. Question 1. Which 2 Hollywood actors took control of Wrexham AFC in 2021?
Goal.
Go, Tom.
Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney.
Correct. Very good.
Sorry, Mark.
All right.
Don't apologise.
You're quicker than me.
Next question. Which takeaway food brand sponsors the EFL trophy competition?
Offside. Carabao.
Sorry?
Oh, no.
No, you got that wrong.
Oh, it's you talked about the one for the League 1 and 2, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh.
-1. Do you know the answer, Tom?
Papa John's.
You're right. You don't get a bonus point, but Mark is now sat there on -1. We do know that Manchester United were in the TalkSport Cup, and they got exited at the first round, and they finished on -1,
Wow.
which was a pretty good achievement, actually. But there we go. All right. 3rd question. Tom, effectively 2 in front. Who became Britain's first £100 million player after his transfer in 2021?
Oh, goal.
Go on.
Declan Rice.
Wrong. Tom
Jack-
loses his point. So Tom's back to 0. Mark?
Oh,
Don't
no.
know. Don't know.
Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
All right. 4th question. Graceland, the former home of Elvis Presley, is in which city that is also displayed on the back of a Dutch international footballer's shirt?
I don't know. Pass
I
on
know
that one.
I know which state, but I'm not guessing.
Both passing on that one. Mark, we did the right thing when we played Arsenal, that sometimes it's better to stay shut up when you don't know the answer. And I'm sure that
I was gonna guess, but I'm not going to.
that's the equivalent of parking the bus, is staying sharp.
I know the state, but I wasn't sure about
All right. Well, the answer to that one is Memphis.
Yeah, I knew it was Tennessee, but I was going to say Nashville.
This is what I didn't know the answer to this.
Yeah. So
I
fifth
didn't know the answer
one.
to who was the first £100 million player either, for that matter. All right. Which of these is the title of Gary Neville's autobiography? Is it Nev, A Labour of Love, Red, or Theatre of Dreams? Give up?
I'd say goal.
Go on.
Nev?
Wrong. It's bloody good quiz, this is. You're both sat on -1 now.
Is this
No,
I
got one.
Now, here's one. This is going to be a little bit... Sorry, Mark. What?
Did I get one back?
No.
We're both on -1. Right.
Brilliant.
Last one
So
then.
the winner, who can get this right, I'd be putting my house on Mark getting this. We'll have to have a tiebreak if we don't, but this is off the one card. What was unusual about Alex Stepney being Manchester United's top joint scorer for 2 months of the 73-74 season?
Oh, bloody hell.
Can you repeat the question?
Of course. What was unusual about Alex Stepney being Manchester United's top joint scorer for 2 months of the 73-74 season?
I guess, but I get it wrong. I'd have a guess.
Don't say anything. If you want to keep it level, don't say anything.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to say no, but then...
All right, you say no. Any ideas, Tom? I wouldn't expect you to
Not a donkey's, Dave.
I'll tell you what my guess would have been.
Go on.
That he took penalties.
He was their goalkeeper, and he took penalties. Alex Stepney. Steve Bird got the answer right. Okay, here we go. What am I going to read off this one? Oh, here's an interesting one. No. Here you go. This is tiebreaker now. Which footwear brand had its name emblazoned on West Ham United shirts from 1998 to 2003?
Pony. Offside, Pony.
Wrong. So, this wasn't. It was Dr. Martens.
Oh,
there we go. Well, what a stunning end to this episode.
That was, wasn't it?
I wouldn't have got. I wouldn't have got that. I think
everybody's gone to sleep now. Sorry, listeners.
No. The audience, actually, there's about 30 more people have started listening, so we should have the Forever Bristol City quiz.
Yeah,
I think we should.
This isn't a good advert for our performance on TalkSport. With that performance, was it?
But we had our moment against Arsenal. We had our moment against.
So what's the score, Steve? What was the score?
You won with -1 because
Brilliant.
was on -2.
A high bar.
We beat Arsenal 1998.
You can have the Forever Bristol City podcast football trivia cup. I think we could do that. That would be a good thing to do at the end of season. Yeah, we could probably get the club to charge us 500 quid to use one of the lounges.
Yeah.
They're tight like that. They'd want the 500. Never mind the fact that we'd be drinking as well. But there we go. Anyway, so we get a week off next weekend, which is great. We'll be doing our review of Millwall away on the morning of Wednesday the 5th. And if you've watched us, thanks for watching. If you're listening on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, thanks for listening on there. Everybody have a great week and onward.